Accucare Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine in Brick, New Jersey offers a state-of-the-art facility with all the best and current treatments. With athletic trainers, massage therapists, and doctors of physical therapy, Accucare has everything you need to stay healthy and perform at the highest level. Cupping, stretching, laser therapy, compression boots, and a full-body cryo chamber are just some of what you can expect at Accucare. Check out their website and social media links in my bio. No prescription is needed to see them. So call them today and start feeling and performing at your best. Again, thank you to Accucare for sponsoring the Shore Football Report. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Accucare High School Football Preview Show, Monmouth County Edition, presented by yours truly, the Shore Football Report. Today, we will talk Freehold Township Patriots football with outstanding head football coach and good friend, Coach Cory Davies. Coach, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me, and I'm very excited about talking about Freehold Township Patriot football.
Awesome.
2022.
Are you outside or inside?
I am outside right now. You might hear some birds going around, and there might be a couple birds fly by. We'll have to wait and see.
Is it hot by you? Because I know it's not hot in my basement right now. It's nice and cold.
No, it's cooled down. It's cooled down. It was a little warmer this morning. We were doing some skills and drills, but right now on our deck here, it's not
good.
Not hot at all. Nice little breeze going through.
Good. We're going to talk a lot about you and how Freehold Township in a second, but I want to talk about two things that I'm proud about. Accucare is now our sponsor. Accucare Physical Therapy, Sports Medicine in Brick. The owner and founder, Pam Anthony, what an incredible lady who's got the same views as I do, and she's got a lot of things she wants to do for the Shore Conference and be a place where kids can go. And you know as well as I do, when you're injured, us coaches, we want them healed. And, you know, we go to our trainers, and sometimes they go to their own private people. Well, we have somebody in Brick that is going to be part of the Shore Football Report football program, and she's going to be helping guys out with rehabilitation, recovery, and all the 9 yards and all that. And, you know, it's important in today's world, with having people like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I know there's tremendous trainers in each school, and then where they go for the rehab and therapy after that is huge.
You and I have talked in the past. You have a different view on things. You used to say, when we were kids, we never stretched. We never stretched, right?
We still don't stretch. We still don't stretch.
I remember you saying, like when you go to the park, Rob, do those guys stretch? No, they just play right away. Yeah, you're right. We do that stuff, but it's totally different now with athletics and, you know, and strengthening your muscles and then educating the young athletes, and that's what they do there at Accucare. So when she was telling me all the stuff, my head was spinning. I did think it was pretty neat that we used to go in these ice buckets and the ice would come out. And all. They have this chamber that you go in there and you just see the person's head and it freezes the whole body. You know, they have stuff for your legs that freezes your whole body. Really neat stuff, high-tech stuff that I want people to go visit there and look for themselves. Really high-tech stuff. The other thing, Coach, is Scott Stump is now back from in the Shore Conference. And he likes to write. I don't like to use the pen. I never ever like to write things. I like to talk. But Stump's excited to be back, and you know him as well as I do. He's going to be a great asset to the Shore Football Report.
Absolutely. He always was years ago when he was with the different media outlets that he was with, and he's always done a great job for short football.
I'm negotiating with him what kind of attire we wear, what kind of Hawaiian shirt, but no, he will never wear one of those. But you'll see
I'm laughing because I do have one in my closet. I thought about putting it on, but I'm like, no, I can't do that. I almost had it on for today.
That would be great for ratings. It would be.
There would have been, yes.
Coach, now let's talk about you. I've known you for a long, long time. You know, back in the day, I knew you when you were at Howell. I didn't know you prior to it. But everybody has a great storyline. And I thought the thing I liked about you when I was a young coach, I liked how you changed you always were good at whatever you did. You ran veer at Howell.
Yes, we did.
And you were pretty good at it. And then you did this RPO. You read the corner. I remember you had this one quarterback, I forgot his name, and he's rolling out and he threw a fade and he caught it and it was a run play. And I said, what the heck? And there was no such thing as RPOs back in the day. And you told me, he goes, we read that kid. And I guess it started out in a mistake, and then you had it in a play. We didn't block him. He comes up, we throw it. I went, wow. My head was spinning with that, but I love how creative you are. But you were a veer option team, and now look at you. I mean, what you're doing. You're running the air raid offense, and, you know, everybody's trying to copy what you're doing and all that, but you are good at what you do. I love it. I love your SOS, same old stuff that you do when you're warming up, you know, pregame, and your kids are good and very educated and skilled in the pass game. Is that something you take pride in?
Yeah, we do. And you know, the funny thing is, from a quarterback standpoint, the veer, we used to read the handoff and the pitch, and it's not much different now dropping back, and you're still reading and throwing. You're just not in the running situation of as much. It's and both offenses are awesome. If I wanted to be a run coach and run a whole lot more, I'd be back in the veer. But I like throwing the football and doing it that way. And we've got to balance it up a little bit and put some more run game in. But yeah, we enjoy doing it. I think it's fun. I think that's one of the reasons a lot of kids come out and play for Freehold Township, because we're throwing the ball around, we're making it fun, and get some different type of athletes in there. And, you know, putting 4 and 5 receivers out.
Yeah.
And often putting 7 or 8 receivers in a game. So guys are getting to play and do that with the pass game.
Oh, well, you have an answer for what you do. That's the thing I like. You have an answer. 4th down and inches, they measure it. Did the D coordinators on the side yell out, "Watch out for the post"? You know, like you're still a threat. 4th and inches. I've seen it, Coach. You're still throwing that flat pattern or whatever, because that's what you're good at. You're good at that stuff. So you force teams to defend things they probably are not used to doing in their practices.
Yes, that's true. And the funny thing is, years ago when we were doing it, not as many teams were in the spread, not as many teams were in one back, and you know, it was always interesting because a lot of times when we would play teams, whatever defense they ran for 3 weeks, they were in a different defense because they had to switch people up. They might have went from a 4-man front to a 3-man front, and it was awesome when guys tried to play cover 2 and never played it. So it was like they've only played it for 3 days. I don't know how good they'll be at it. But you know, from that standpoint, we were ahead of the game a little bit. You know, and at times when it's really clicking, it's like we're playing chess and they're playing checkers. I mean, because we were able to do it when we click well.
Well, it all starts with protection, and you're very good at not getting sacked. And I think you take away a lot of blitzes because you run screens. So I've been in programs where the DN wouldn't rush. He would watch for that jailbreak screen, and they're only rushing 3 in a 4-man front, and which would help your blocking. You tackles kicking back, and that ends waiting for a screen, and you're throwing vertical. So you help yourself with your in your pass game, because people are so afraid of your next move, or they don't want to get beat by this one play that, I mean, and it's just great. And I took a lot of notes through the years about what you did, and a lot of my offense, that stuff that I use, helped me in my program. I'll never forget when we had that scrimmage at our place, and it was, the score was, I think, 28-21 at half in a scrimmage.
Yes.
I said, Coach, I'm going to go talk to Coach and see what we want to do in the second half. We put our arms around each other, and you said, well, he goes, our coordinators are not going to be happy when they see this film tomorrow. I started laughing, but you were right. Your offenses and your defense was always not wowed by the pass game, because that's what they see all the time too. That opened up my
Yeah.
eyes a lot. It really did. You know, when you're doing your 7-on-7s, your guys are watching for Tampa 2 because everybody throws everything in the kitchen sink at you. You've seen it all. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Coach, let's talk about your resume quickly. I know about you were there 21 years at Howell, and this is your 8th year here at Freehold. You were somewhere else before that. And how did you get started coaching that led you into being at Howell?
What led me to go to before I came to Howell, I was up in New York State at Valley Central High School. It was outside of it was in Montgomery, New York.
Right.
And I was there. Prior to that, I was at East Stroudsburg University as a running back coach, and I coached at my old high school in Pennsylvania, Abington Heights, and then at East Stroudsburg, there was a phone call that came to the football office. They needed a coach in New York, and I said, "Well, let me interview." So I went up there and interviewed, and then how I got to Howell. My wife is originally from Lacey.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Lacey High School, and we said, let's see, can we get back to the shore? Can we go to the shore? And so the Howell job opened up. I applied. I got it. And, she's a teacher and has been for years at Lacey at the elementary at
Mm-hmm.
the Harbor. So it worked out well.
Yeah.
From that end.
And then you went to Howell. And I think it was incredible that when you left Howell, you came to Lacey in between to be an assistant.
Yes. And it was an awesome experience,
Awesome ain't the word. All of a sudden, you're
Right.
running your air raid stuff at Lacey. And, I mean, you guys did really well with it. And that was, amazing that Lacey players are running the spread stuff mixed in with the ISO. You had to have ISO in.
Yeah, we did. We ran a lot of I formation, and we had some pretty good running backs. And we still stayed in the I and had a tight end in there. But then in certain situations, we'd break out to the 2x2 set and throw the football as well.
Well, whatever it was, it rubbed off on John Tierney, because John Tierney the other day was running all this stuff. I said, that looks like Howell. He's like, he was running that.
He's got the playbook. He's got the playbook, and we've talked about it a little bit. So,
well, you won him over.
Hopefully, he does well with it.
Yeah, he will.
He does well with it.
He will. So you won him over. So after Lacey, you left. You came back into the Freehold School District as a coach to be the head coach at Freehold Township. And, so you've been in 2 different spots in the Freehold School District. Now you're at Freehold Township for 8 years. The thing that's remarkable about you is the numbers. Wherever you go, you just have loads of kids that are playing football. How do you do it? How do you get those numbers up?
Like I said, we try to make it fun. Try to make it an atmosphere that is fun. I mean, you hear people talk about culture and so forth. We try to make it as a friendly, meaningful atmosphere for each player, and try to get as many kids involved that want to try to play football. For us, it's a non-cut sport. Sometimes people say you should cut because it's hard to coach that many kids. But if they want to play football in our program, we want them to come out and try to play.
How many buses?
Hopefully they enjoy it.
How many buses How many buses do you bring?
4? Well, we have 4 buses that we bring, but I will say this: the Freehold Township coaches kind of talked me into a couple of years ago. We do make a travel list now, so it's usually about 66 that we bring to a game. So we kind of cut it back, so it wasn't as like the one year we had 98 guys on the team or whatever. So they convinced me it's too many guys to be in the visitor locker room. And
it is a lot.
And we actually last 2 years we made a list for home games as well.
Really?
It's just too many kids on the sideline. So we would break it to a game day schedule too. So some of the JV kids may not suit up, just because it got to a point where the locker room was overfilled, too many kids on the sideline. But then when we play homecoming or senior day or those kind of games, we want to bring all 90 guys.
I know you go after it in the off season. I know, but it's just like you get your numbers are so different than other programs. It's just so much higher every year too. Every year. So is it hard to identify certain players, or does it take longer to identify guys because you have so many guys getting reps?
Not really. I think the cream rises to the top, as they say. You find out in a hurry who can play.
Mm-hmm.
Say if we get out there and we're doing some pass lines, you're going to see who can catch the ball as a receiver.
Good.
Who can defend and so forth. So it comes around pretty quick. And some guys distance themselves quite quickly. Some guys you look at and you say, well, he could play varsity, and that guy, he may not play JV, let alone.
And this year you have around 95 varsity / JV kids, right?
Yeah, there's probably we just did the roster the other day. I think from 1 to 95 on the last numbers. There's probably like 10 guys that aren't there, so there's 85, and then there's some young men that haven't really. They've signed up, but they haven't been there
Right.
to any of the summer stuff, so they didn't get a jersey number yet. But when they come, we'll give them a jersey if they come.
Do you duplicate numbers?
We have in the past. Yes, we have duplicated. Yeah. So right now we have no singles, no receiver running back numbers available, so we may have to duplicate them.
Or give out fractions.
What's that?
Or give out fractions or decimals. Number 96.3
no,
on a
we
catch.
Won't do that. Now we could give out, a sophomore running back number 65 or something like that, but instead what we've done, I just actually had to look it up, and I looked at 2019. We had like 6 or 7 guys that were duplicated numbers.
They just can't be on at the same time, right?
Yes, they can. And usually we attempt to make it so it's a senior and a sophomore.
Right.
Somebody that wouldn't be out there. It doesn't always make the senior happy, because he'll come and say, hey, somebody's got my jersey on in the hall. Walking in the hallway.
Right.
And we tell them, well, there's duplicate. Or when we get to a game and the public announcer doesn't know who's who and he calls the wrong kid, especially at the coin toss, he'll say, and the captain is, and it's not our captain's name. But we try to tell those guys. What I did one year, just cross those guys out.
Or you pull the senior out, the backup comes in with the same number and goes 90 yards for a touchdown, and then the senior gets credit for the touchdown. Then he's happy.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Yes, that could work.
Great story, Coach. A lot to talk about with your football program. Are you ready to talk Freehold Township football?
Sure, let's go. Let's rock.
Let's do it. I'm going to take this off. I don't want to hear anything else about pods, COVID, or masks. Off-season has been terrible for the last 2 years. But let's talk about the seniors. The seniors had no off-season normal workouts for 2 years since their freshman year of football ended, Coach. So they never saw what it was like for you, and you had your program rolling. You had to put it on pause for 2 years, and now you have to reinvent yourself or reteach your program to your whole program. I don't know if it was easy or not, but can you tell us what a normal off-season looks like at Freehold Township?
Yeah, we have basically 4 phases. So we go in phase 1, which is in, after the season's over. It can start in early December or January, depending on how the year went before. This year we started in December, and we're testing guys in the weight room. And then phase 1 we'll go through in the weight room, and we're doing weight room stuff. So our weight room is open, after school. We also opened it up 2 days a week in the morning. We're a later school, so we started at like 8:15, 8:30. So we were in there at like 7, I think so 6:45. So some of the kids were in there lifting then, and that would be phase 1 of that lifting section and how we do that. And then we go into phase 2, which was what we refer to as our skills and drills, which is we're just completed, in July. So we do that. Now, what we did this year, which none of these guys had before, I forget what the date was, but when when the spring season's over, you can then start doing stuff with your kids. So we always have what we refer to as an OTA, like the NFL, and we'd have 3 or 4 days, and they had no clue what that was. And I'm thinking, we haven't done this before with these guys. So we had 4 days after the first time we had that, and then we took another 2 weeks off, and then came into the skills and drills, which is phase 2, to be able to do that. We just finished that up where we're lifting, running, and get some ball game in the 7-on-7 tournaments and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then phase 3 is our August practice, which will start up before we play. We do the traditional, fall camp, I guess you would call it. It's different nowadays because we don't do double sessions. Not like when you and I were playing football.
Yeah.
We were going in the morning and going in the afternoon. And actually, my 1 year in high school, we did triples. We came back at 7 at night and did special teams and so forth. But that'd be phase 3. And then phase 4 is the season. We get into playing games, the varsity games, the JV games, and the freshman games. So it is really a 365-day year event, which it wasn't. And I always wonder, and I actually just talked to Coach Priscilla, we mentioned before, about do we do too much, especially in July, but you kind of have to. I mean, because everybody's doing it. So you have to feel that you must do it, get involved and do all those kind of things and have, as I mentioned, like 4 phases.
It's funny, Coach, because some teams are playing now August 27th, and us head coaches would always go, oh my God, we got to push everything now ahead. We have to now practice a week and a half earlier. We get all this anxiety when you probably don't need all that time, because I learned during the COVID season, Coach, we had games that were canceled, and then we just had another game added 2 days later. We practiced for 2 days, and we won. And I said to my coaches, we practice very minimal and looked as crisp as we ever have. So why do we need to practice 5 days a week? At the end of the year. So sometimes as coaches, we do too much,
Yeah,
right?
we do. I always wondered about that. And do we practice too much? And now we're going to start. Our first game is August 26th this year, so we're doing one of those what we call week zero games. And
yeah, that's
we reached out, and Dom Laporte contacted us, and we didn't have Manalapan on the schedule, so we're going to play Manalapan on August 26th. But we're not going to have a lot of time because we can't start before August 10th by the state rules,
right?
And so we're going to see what happens with that and not have as many 3 weeks of practice and go from there.
Wow. Yeah, you're starting the 10th, 26. You're definitely not going to be in pads probably the day before. That's quick.
It is. So, but one thing, it's the same as them. Now, we just did skills and drills. Now, we'll do some skills and drills coming in on August 8th and 9th because we're still, but it's not the official. You don't get the 6-day count. So we'll be going our skills and drills on the 8th and 9th. So we're still doing stuff, and hopefully our guys can figure that out.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. You're right. As coaches, when games get moved to a certain spot, we count backwards. 16, 15, 14. We have to get a certain amount of practices.
Certain amount of hours. I always liked 51 hours. For where I got up with that, I don't know. But we won't have 51 hours in before the first game.
No. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so your off season is you got those guys moving. I know you're big into multi-sport athletes. You got to watch them play all the other sports, and then they come back into the weight room or on the field when they're not playing another sport. So, and I always found it interesting that you would do 7-on-7s, and I took pride in it too, that we would be prepared in 5 days to play at Monmouth in the past or at Rutgers and do our 7-on-7s and do quite well. And it's amazing how quick kids kind of are very receptive to program stuff that they're used to doing. And your players know your system pretty well, right? With tweaks here or there.
Yeah, they do. I mean, these guys have been in it. And last year we were somewhat young, and we're still going to be very young. Yeah. We're not going to start a whole lot of the seniors because we don't have a lot of seniors in the program. But we got some young kids who learned a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Some of them actually got on the field in varsity and played. So, they were kind of aware of some of the stuff that we want to do.
I think you're young with experience, if that makes sense.
We are. We played a lot of sophomores last year, especially at key positions, and we played some freshmen at key positions. So we'll see how that works out this year and how they progress and where they go from.
All right, Coach, let's hear about your 2022 football coaching staff.
Our staff, we are a two-platoon staff. What I mean by that is we have coaches that just coach one side of the football, offense or defense. We've done it both ways. We've done it that way in the past. We've done where everybody had two sides of the ball, but this year we're going to do a two-platoon. We'll start on the offense first. On the offense will be Coach Bill Daigle, who's been with me off and on for ages. I mean, he was at Howell for years ago with me. Before I got there, he was the head coach at Howell back in the late 80s, and he came over with me at Township, and then he retired, and I pulled him out of retirement this year, so he's back working with the offensive line. Jake White is going to work with the offensive line. He's a graduate of Township, played football on the first couple teams that I had when I was at Township, and he'll be working with the offensive line as well. And then Todd Smith will work with our receivers. Last year was his first year coaching with us and coaching football. He's the head baseball coach and assistant basketball coach, and really picked up, and he really enjoys the air raid offense. He loves working with the routes and doing that stuff, and he does a great job of coaching him on that. My son Ryan Davies comes and helps at times when he's available. He's able to come out and work with our guys as well. He kind of knows the offense a little bit from playing in it, so he can give some instruction from that standpoint. On the defensive side, starting off with the defensive line, Vince Tessie is our defensive line coach and has worked with the defensive line for a few years. A few years back, he was on the freshman staff, but he's been coaching for a long time. He was at Colts Neck. He was at Monmouth Regional. He came over to us a few years ago, and he's there. Matt Hardison, who also doubles as our defensive coordinator, is the linebacker coach. He's done a great job. He came out in 2018. He's a former Freehold Township player, and he's got an extensive football background. He played at Rutgers. He played at the University of Delaware. He was with the Jets for a short time. So he's a very knowledgeable football player, both on the offensive line. Defensive line and offensive line. He'll always give his 2 cents on how he thinks the guys should block and so forth, which is just great, his knowledge. And being able to do that. He played defensive line in college and was when he was with the Jets. Anthony Lottie is our defensive backfield coach. He was an all-shore football player at Township in 2016 on my second team. And he was a very versatile player. He was first team all-shore, as I said. And he does the defensive backs, went on to play at the University of Pennsylvania. And he does a great job there. On our freshman staff, Jesse Heibel is the freshman head coach. He's been there now for, I believe it's 4 years, working with the line. We have a new freshman coach, Matt Ferguson, who's come on because Gene Blanco, who was with the varsity and freshman, has retired from teaching, and he wants to step away from coaching, after many, many years of being in the coaching brigade and being up in age. So he's not going to be there as well. Now, some other guys who kind of help us and work around, Derek Reichenbecker, who was as an assistant with me for years, played for me at the other school over there at Howell, and he dropped out of coaching a little bit the last couple of years, but he does a lot of video stuff and analyzes stuff and does that kind of stuff. He was in the press box doing stuff during game day, so he's kind of an analyst, if you would, defensive analyst, and where my son kind of is the offensive analyst and how that works. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but you never know.
No. I like what you do with 2 platoon coaching because you have to. You have a lot of numbers.
We have a lot of numbers, and what that does, we 2 platoon the group. So we'll have the young guys on offense and maybe the older guys on defense, and then we split them halfway through. And we're going to toy around with playing 2 platoon football this year. I mean, we're not going to be able to do it with every kid, but we're going to try to do it and be able to work that in because we have a lot of kids that are kind of equal.
Yeah.
If you look at them and say either one could play running back, either one could play outside linebacker. So why go both ways? Because there's a lot to it, and there's a team in Monmouth County does a great job of 2 platoon football. I'm trying to learn some of the stuff that they do in Rumson. They have great numbers, and a lot of guys, nobody goes both ways with those guys and how they've done it. And actually, in the 2016 season at Township, we 2 platoon. The only guy that went both ways was Anthony Lottie, who I said is our defensive backfield coach. Because of that, we were able to do that. And every now and then, unfortunately, somebody will get hurt. You got to pull somebody over and have them play both ways. And we will have a few kids go both ways this year because there's just a few that are good enough that they should play both ways.
Wow. If you got guys going one side of the ball, can you say tempo?
Yeah, you can. And then especially when I just said we're starting August 26th and we're going to play September 1st and September 9th. Who knows how hot it'll be on those days.
Wow.
We travel to Marlboro again on the first Saturday. I guess it is in September. And often the month of September might be one of the hottest school days when we get into the school classrooms. And I know last year we were there. It was very hot on a Saturday afternoon. So you never know how that'll work out.
I love it. 2 platoon coaching for a high number of varsity guys. A lot of guys getting reps. A lot of coaches getting familiar with their players. And, more. That's the secret why kids know that they're being talked to and coached every day. That's why they come to practice.
I hope. I mean, that's part of the deal, part of the atmosphere we want to try to build. The guys get there and they practice, and not too many guys are standing around and being able to do that.
Coach, here's your schedule to the left. Very competitive one. And to the right is basically the Freehold School District minus Manalapan, but you're playing Manalapan anyway. And we'll talk about the Constitution Division when you're done. So let me hear your take on your schedule.
Well, I think it's a very competitive and a tough schedule when you look at it. We open up on what we refer to as 0 week on August 26th at Manalapan's traveling to Freehold Township. And just say Manalapan, they're a good football team. They're always a good football team. So that's going to be a really tough contest. And then second game, we have Barnegat. We scrimmaged Barnegat many times in the past when you were there. We used to scrimmage a lot, and they were always very competitive scrimmages. And it'll be an interesting game as well when we get an opportunity to play there. Then we travel to Marlboro. Marlboro's had an outstanding season last year. A lot of players coming back. It's a team that we've kind of matched up with back and forth through the last few years. So that'll be a good game. And we got Howell coming in Howell's got a lot of talent, and they've shown a lot of talent in the 7-on-7s, and they'll be a very competitive football team this year, and will be a big time challenge. Colts Neck, we didn't play a year ago, but we played a couple years ago, and they have a lot of guys back, and they graduated some people, but they also have a very stout and very good junior and sophomore class, and that'll be a great game. Mm-hmm. It's a Saturday game. We got to go over there. Brick Memorial, we haven't played in a long time, but the last time I shouldn't say that, in 2019 we played them, and we had an opportunity to play them then. They have an outstanding quarterback, and we've got to go over there, and it's always tough to play over at Brick Memorial. Following that, we play Freehold Borough, which is our Duke Trophy game, which we always play them for the Duke Trophy game, so it's kind of a rival game. And mm-hmm. Some of the other ones are as well. Howell's a kind of a rival game because we used to play them on Thanksgiving. Manalapan being in the district, and Marlboro, they're kind of rivals as well. We get to play Manchester. We played them last year in that whatever that thing was called at the end when they picked teams.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a very, very close game, and that'll be a good game. I know they're excited over there for football with Coach Farrell taking over. And then we play Jackson, and Jackson's Jackson. Jackson Memorial is always a good football team, and they're always a very physical, hard-nosed team. And we played them in 2018 and went over there, and it was a 7-0 game. They beat us, but it was a brawl for the 48 minutes. So it's going to be an interesting schedule and a very, very challenging schedule.
Yeah, I mean, before we talk about the division, interesting game one. That game was moved or added, should I say? It was added, right? The Manalapan?
Yeah, it was added. Myself and Coach Lepore got together a little bit. Mm-hmm. I personally wanted to play a 9th game. I didn't want to have that 8-game schedule.
Correct.
That everybody has, and because then you're still going to get added games at the end of the year anyway. Yeah. So why not get another one? And that's part of my philosophy is kids sign up to play football. They don't sign up to just mm-hmm. practice football. Mm-hmm. So let's get in there and play. And so we're going to play Manalapan on the 26th.
One of your sister schools, Manalapan, yeah. I mean, high expectation. That's a huge game for both of you before school starts, too. So
yeah, we will have 2 games before. Last year we opened up in Mid-North before school started, which was the first time ever. And now this year we're actually going to have 2 games before school starts. It never played a game in August.
Yeah, interesting. The divisions now, Coach. It's basically your Freehold school district, except for one school, which is Manalapan. Very competitive teams. I know you guys just did the 7-on-7 tournament the other day. It was a lot of competitive juices flying there and good football. And, you're all familiar with each other, I assume, right?
Yeah, we are. I mean, every Manalapan isn't in there, but Jackson comes in, and Jackson football is traditionally as good as any school around. So, that is going to be a tough contest as well as you look at Jackson. And as I said, Howell's got a very good football team, a lot of good players coming back. Borough's always a tough game for us because it's our rival game, and the guys really get up. Marlboro's got outstanding athletes. And Colts Neck does as well. Colts Neck's going to have a really good football team as well. So it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about it. In the conference, I'm looking at it and thinking, but I have no idea how to do this because I'm not one of those guys that can make predictions. But I don't see anybody winning that conference with 0 losses. I think there's going to be a couple losses or at least one loss, whoever takes the title. Maybe a try or a go. You never know.
Coach, I gave this. I gave the 6 schools to 3 coaches out there. I said, give me your order of prediction of how they're going to finish. They gave it back to me. All 3 were different. Without saying who they were or whatever, it was interesting because I'm banging my head. I couldn't tell you who would be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. But there's so many contrasts in philosophy styles. Your Colts Neck's black and blue. They're going to run power, pulling guards, tackles. You're the air raid guy. Freehold Borough going empty with their blitz and attacking style of defense. And, it's Marlboro is a little mix, and so is Jackson. Unique styles, but very good programs, and they all have the same expectations. Everybody's excited about this season. They got players to be excited about, and why not us? That's everybody's attitude.
Yeah, that's the way we feel about it. So we'll see how it all works out, and hopefully we can play well and be successful in our contests.
We all want to know, what are you running offensively, defensively this year?
But offensively, we're not running anything different than we have in the past. we're going to line up in the four wides most of the game, and a lot of times it might just be a 2-by-2 set.
It's amazing.
And being able to run plays, and every now and then we might jump into an empty set, but we're going to be. If you looked at it and put a film on from 5 years ago, I mean, it's basically the same offense that it was, and the names have changed and the numbers, but how we call it, but it's the same offense that we were running with the spread with Lacey and Howell. So not much has changed. It's very much the same. We try to be rep orientated and rep the plays over and over again, and then give our guys enough to be able to understand and have enough to go against the opponent with it. Defensively, we're going to be a little bit multiple. We're going to line up in a couple different type of situations or fronts. Traditionally, we've always been somewhat of a 4-4 type. We still will line up in a 4-4, but we may slide around a little bit with some of the creativity and be in a 3-4 look, or some type of stack look or whatever in the 4-4 type of look, and try to be a little more multiple with our fronts and some of the things that we do.
Coach, now top position groups. I love this part. I love talking about units, not just one player. A body of work by a lot of people that makes one side of the ball better than the other positions. Offensively, here's what I did breaking down you guys up. I think your strength of your team is your backfield, and I know you throw the ball a lot. I know you got receivers and all that can catch, but I think that you have a bunch of names. Mark Agello, the junior quarterback who's thrown for 1,400 yards and one of the top quarterbacks around. Sophomore Nick Cardone, who I love. He can play any position on the offense. Did you ever try him at center?
We did not try him at center, but don't give me any ideas. Because actually, last year, the first 2 games, Agello was our long snapper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you never know. We might put a backup quarterback in there.
Well, I went to a game against Manchester where you had a freshman at the time quarterbacking, Nick Cardone, and did quite well. Seen him in the 7-on-7s. He was playing receiver and, of course, defensive back. He's good. He is good. And then you got Chase Enlow, a sophomore who came in at the end of the year at running back. A kid, Chris Nasso, who was injured, who's a senior, who I know you're high on. Junior Sebastian Andahar and junior Nick Winston. To me, you have a lot of young, experienced guys in the backfield. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. I mean, we got 2 quarterbacks coming back that got some playing time a year ago. Mark had to play the first game because our senior quarterback was out with COVID contact. Then he got injured and tore his ACL, so he was the quarterback the rest of the year until he got hurt, and then Nick Cardone came in. And those 4 guys that we mentioned as running backs have all played. Now, Chris Nasso didn't play much as junior, but he's been our we have what we call a building block award. Freshman year, he was the building block award for the 9th graders, 10th graders he was, and last year he didn't get to play. So we'll see how he fills things out. And Sebastian and Nick both played a lot at running back and defensively last year as sophomores.
Yeah, I love Enlow. I do. I really do. I thought it was amazing last year. You had a senior starter quarterback. He got hurt, and then you had 2 quarterbacks that probably weren't thinking at the time that they'll be thrown into the fire, were later on during the season, and were able to manage the air raid offense. So you were working with your number 2 and number 3 quarterbacks if you looked at your preseason depth chart going into last year. And now they're the experienced guys. So you got to be pretty comfortable having, your quarterback position pretty solidified, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's interesting. The interesting thing, when we started off with the freshman last year, Cardone was not a quarterback. He got moved in there after a couple of practices, I think even in the first game. And then he just took off and was able to play it and did a great job when he had to come up, and worked it and quickly was able to pick up what we were doing. And same thing with Mark in the beginning of the year to be able to pick up. Because, as you know, and a lot of people, the freshmen don't always do the same thing as the varsity.
No.
And especially when it's an air raid type offense, so they're not throwing it as much. And, Cardone wasn't throwing it as much because he was handing the ball off to Chase Enlow, who was running the ball all over. So they both did outstanding when they came up.
But eventually both those guys moved up at the end of the year, so you were able to see them up front on the varsity scene as freshmen. So I think you have a lot of experience there, even though you're young, which is exciting for the future, but you want to win today. I know you do.
Yes, absolutely.
Defensively, I think your linebackers, led by Nick Benjamino, a senior. I love Sebastian Andahar, a junior, sophomore Braden Larkin, senior Jacob Nastor. I can't say his name. Nasterwicz.
We call him. Well, don't worry, I can't really. We just call him Nasty. We
Nasty.
just call him Jake Nasty.
Yeah.
Jake Nasty. Nasarovich. But he played halfway through the year. He started and did an outstanding job last year for us.
And then junior Tyler Merlani.
Yep.
All right, I'm close, but I think that you have a lot of pieces to make it interesting. I think that's your strength, your defensive, your linebackers.
Yeah, we do too. I mean, there's a lot of guys in there. Benjamino will be a 3-year starter. He started since his sophomore year, and he's really the leader of the defense and doing things like that. And then also on the inside was Jake Nasty playing in there, Braden and Tyler Morinelli, and then outside we have you're going to have Sabi or Sebastian Andahar as well as Nick Whiston. So we've got a lot of different pieces to play linebacker.
Coach, I want to magnify. Last year we magnified special teams. A lot of people say it's a third of the game, but they don't talk about it that much. A third of the game, they don't get recognition. I wanted to recognize the special team aspect, and I think you got one of the best kickers in the Shore, Cody Woolrob, a lefty kicker who's got such a loft on his kicks. He looks effortless when he kicks the football. A nice lefty kicking high arc and kicking it deep. It's not line drives. So he allows your team to get downfield when he kicks it because it's got so much air and distance on it. How much of a weapon is he coming into this season?
Well, he'll be more than he was a year ago. I mean, he was very good on extra point and field goals. Did a great job on that. But not only kick, he punted extremely well. Yeah. Actually, we didn't know how well of a punter he would be. We knew he was going to be a decent kicker. And then the opening game at Mid-North, he kicked it in the end zone on the opening kickoff. And then his first punt was like a bomb. And it was like, wow. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was the MVP of the game against Middletown North. We weren't successful in winning it, but he had some great kicks. He's very good with onside kicks. You know, the old follow and he chases and gets it himself, or he pops it up. And he does a lot of that stuff. And he works at it. I mean, you got to realize what he does is, it's not boring for him because he usually takes one or two guys with him, but he goes up on the game field and practices kicking and doing all that. And then he knows what time to come back when we're going to do extra point, field goal, or kickoff, or punt, and all that stuff. So, when he works a lot on with other groups.
When he's practicing his kicking, he uses the whole one side of the field, and all 100 other guys are on the other side. So that's how good he is. He gets the whole half of the field, and you got to squeeze all your 100 other guys to that other 50-yard line. And over there.
Actually, we let him walk up on the game field. He goes up there by himself on the game field, and he's kicking the ball at the band when they're practicing. But not always, but a lot of times.
Kickers are different. As long as he can kick it through the upright, good job.
Yep, absolutely.
Coach, let's hear your top returning players and newcomers that you got that's going to be exciting for the football season this year.
Well, we mentioned a few of the top returning guys. I mean, offensively, when you start off with a quarterback coming back, we actually played 2 Qs, Marcagello and Nick Cardone. So we've got those 2 guys coming back. We mentioned all those different running back pieces and that they're going to be involved in that. And some of the receivers that we didn't get a chance, Nick Carnival's coming back as a receiver. He was a big-time free safety last year, but he's going to play on the offensive side. Sean Corchado, who was our Y and probably our top receiver last year, which we didn't really get to mention very much. And he's going to do a great job as well. Right now, he's nursing a foot injury where he broke his foot playing some basketball, but he should be back and ready to go, and we're excited with that. And with this on the offensive receivers now, we've had 2 seniors that have been filling in a little bit and have done a great job as well. Mikey Izzo's done a great job. Zach Goldbetter, they've been working in and doing a great job. And Anthony Long has been our ex-receiver the last couple of years, and as we mentioned, Nick Cardone's playing some receiver, and Bobby Loft, who also plays defense. On the offensive line, we got all newcomers. There's a lot of new guys in there. Adam Dinard's going to be our center. Mike Daly's going to be a guard. Ethan Rifkin is a guard. Landon Szymanski's a tackle. Jack Horan is a tackle. And they're all underclassmen. So we don't really have we have Alex Fallon, who's more of a defensive player. We'll play some offensive line possibly, but when you look at it, we're very young up front. When I just named all those kids, there's really only a couple kids that are seniors to be in there. So we're going to see some newcomers that are going to play. On the defensive side of the ball, we mentioned all those linebackers that are going to be in there. The D-backs, Carnival plays a lot out there on that. With that, Anthony Long, Bobby Loft will be there. John Paul Cortez is doing a great job as a DB and as a wide receiver. I mean, he's going to get the play out there as well. And it's some of the versatile guys we have in Chase Enlow and Nick Cardone might find themselves playing some defense at certain times as well and being out there. And with the defensive line, I mentioned Alex Fallon, who will be in there as a D lineman. Manfrey is also going to be in there as well on that, and Nick Manfrey. And then we have a new guy, Jaden Holmes-Cotter, who's going to play some defensive end for us, who's a big-time basketball player with second team All-Shore. And, we're expecting some great things out of him. He's doing a great job picking it up. And, he's a body, 6'6", 220. And, do that. Actually, today I said to him, hey, we have a couple of linemen out on offense. You want to play tackle? And he just said, why not? So he went over to play offensive tackle. He's never done that before, but he could be a football player. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, he was moving pretty well. I know I seen you brought him to the 7-on-7 at Monmouth. And when he walked on the field, I went, who is that? And you smiled and he said, it's my secret weapon.
He might be. You might just be that.
That's awesome. You got some, and I like the character of your players. I got a chance to talk with them at the Manalapan 7-on-7. They're excited. They're just very excited about football season, which is great. You got a bunch of guys that love football, that have experience, and they're young. And, who knows what happens in high school football, right?
Absolutely.
Good mix. Yep. If kids are bringing the energy and you got the numbers behind you and you have experience, I mean, you've been at it for a long time. That's a good mix.
Absolutely. And as I said before, it's a good group. We're excited about this group. The sophomore class last year did really well as freshmen. The junior class was outstanding as freshmen. And they're working their way up through. As we said, we have small numbers with the varsity, with the seniors. It's interesting. Some years we had 30, 35 seniors on the team. This year we might have just maybe a dozen. And so the numbers are different there with the varsity group, but we're going to be a young team, which, as you mentioned, is going to be somewhat experienced.
Now, when you have the buses that go through, do you have a senior bus, a junior bus, a sophomore bus? Like the senior bus will be like empty. The junior bus will be overloaded with all these people, right? And the sophomores. How do you break it up?
There might be some. This year there could be some juniors. We usually break them up by class on how they're going to do it. So we'll give a bus list on that. And for a while there, we were given assigned seats when it was COVID. So we had to know where everybody sat, because you had to know if somebody came up with COVID, who was sitting near them. That happened when I say last year, our first game. We lost a couple kids because they were sitting next to somebody on the way home from a scrimmage who ended up getting COVID.
Yeah.
But we break them down, who goes to what bus.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of preparation. I mean, you got 100 kids or 80 kids you bring in there. It's a lot to deal with on your plate. I mean, there's a lot of organizational things, but you do it right all the time, and you run a good program, and looking for good things for you, Coach. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hopefully. And thank you, and thanks for all that you're doing for the short conference. This is outstanding. We talked about that before, about all the different coverage you have, and now you're going big time now. You got Scott Stump with you.
Stump.
You got everything going. Next thing I know, you guys will be doing your own games, and you'll be like streaming games. Who knows?
That's been talked about. That has been talked about. Radio is something out there, but I have a different outlet I might be doing. I just don't want to say it, but I got to do something.
That's all right.
I'm not going to sit around and just. Now I'm not coaching. I could sit on the couch and wait for the season, or be a part of the season. Is what we're doing. So having fun doing it, Coach. Coaches like you make it fun. Your players are high energy and fun to engage with. So that's all we want to do, is make high school football fun, which it's supposed to be.
Absolutely.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, Coach. This will be up tomorrow.
All right. Sounds awesome.
Thanks, Coach. Okay, now we're going to be talking with Freehold Township's outstanding 4 football players, and let me introduce them. And guys, first, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Awesome. No problem. Let me introduce you guys, working left to right. Just wave your hand like this so everybody knows who you are. Be proud of who you are. All right. I know Coach Davies is proud of you guys. To the left, center, a senior, Anthony Long, wide receiver corner. What's up, Ant? Right up top in the middle, junior, right? Nick?
Yeah.
Yep. Junior, Nick Caravalli, wide receiver safety. What's up, Nick? Yep. Mark, to the right, junior, Mark Agello, quarterback, and I was mispronouncing his name all year, and we corrected it, right? There'll be no more mistakes. Yeah. No more mistakes, I promise that. And then down below, last but not least, the outstanding inside linebacker senior, Nick Benjamino, right? Did I pronounce that right?
You did, yeah.
I did all right, huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Well, guys, thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it. In your busy schedule, you're getting ready for the football season. But I want to know 5 things about your program. I take a lot of pride that I know a lot about everybody's program. After these 5 questions, I'm good with you guys. Gold. 100%. I know everything about you guys. You ready?
Sure.
First question. Who's the funniest dude in your program? I need to know this. Forget about how many yards Mark over there throws for.
It's a tie.
Sebastian and our number.
I don't want to hear about how many yards Mark's going to throw this year. I want to know who's the funniest dude in the program. Who is it? It's a tie?
It's a tie. It's out of me and South.
4?
Number 4. I think it's just Sabi.
Let's hear it. We're gonna start with Anthony first. Let me hear some names.
I said it's a tie out of me and Sabi, but I'll give it to Sabi.
You're funny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it to Sabi though.
Okay. Nick up top. Which one? Give me a name.
I think it's Sebastian. I don't think you're very funny.
Now that was funny. Good. Ant, I'm gonna between you and I, you made me laugh a couple times before these guys got on. I think you're funny. Good. All right, Mark. Who's the funniest dude?
I gotta go with Sebastian.
Sebastian? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So Sebastian's. All right. So Nick, where's this tie? You said 4. I want to know 4 names now.
Number 4, Sebastian Sabi.
Oh, number 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Him.
Sebastian's a funny dude, huh?
Yes.
I'm gonna say Anthony's also in there too. He had me laughing before too. There's nothing wrong with joking around. As long as you don't do it when Coach Davies is talking, that's fine. You got a lot of guys on your football team, so you need a bunch of comedians to keep it chill, don't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nothing wrong with that. I like that. So I'm going to write these names down. So if I go on the sidelines, I hear everybody giggling, I know maybe Sebastian or my man Anthony was making fun of me or something like that, right? Number 2, who's the leader? Who's the leader of the team in social media when you're going to spread the word about this video here and let everybody in town see it? Who's going to be doing it in the program?
These 2 guys right here. These 2.
Who's the 2?
Me and Benji.
So Anthony and Nick, you going to agree, Mark, with that?
Yeah, I go with the senior leaders here.
Senior leaders? What is it, by text? Is it Snapchat? Is it Tickety Talk or whatever you call that thing?
It's all over.
Snapchat.
Snapchat. On TikTok too.
So when Aunt Nick, when you message your team, you have to do all those social media platforms. You got a lot of kids in your program.
They got multiple group chats.
You know what upsets me? Maybe I'm old school. If I do something, usually people say thank you. When I tweet something and then people tell me later, yeah, I saw that on your social media, and they didn't like it, I get offended. Like, come on, man.
I don't like that. I hate that.
I hate that. Like, show me some love. Right? I expect some likes, retweets, subscribe on my YouTube. I kind of like it. All right? When you guys do that, I get motivated and I want to do more writing. But I'll tweet something out and cricket, nothing. I'll put it on Instagram. I'll get 10,000 people kind of liking it, all that. So I don't know. I'm like checking out my thing is, can people see my Twitter? And all my buddies like, yeah, I saw it. I just didn't like it. I said, oh, great. So you guys got to teach me a little bit about that. I get very offended with that. 3, normal. Back to normal. No more COVID. No more pods. No more masks, man. All right? So tell me, how great was it this offseason? And include your camps, because I think I've seen a couple of you guys at camps. How was it to be back to normal in the offseason? We'll start with Mark Agello.
I think it's really great to be back. So, starting early July, getting the team together, getting to know each other more, knowing chemistry, and overall just getting ready for the season with the normal year, no more pandemic and lockdown.
Yeah, you as a quarterback is very important because people look up to you. I mean, going in that weight room when Nick's busting his chops, working out, Anthony's making people laugh in between his sets, to go up to him, give him a pound, get eye contact. Just the visibility of a leader could be won in a locker room during a weight room too, right?
Yeah, being together as
Yeah.
a team, motivating each other,
Yeah.
pushing each other.
Sometimes you don't need to say something just by your presence near the person. You know, I always had my quarterbacks tap a guy in the shoulder, let him know that they're there. Nick, tell me how great it was this off season.
Being your bench, yeah.
Oh, Nick up top. I'm sorry, Carnivale.
Oh, it's really nice to be like back. Like finally we can start using like the weight room and see everyone inside, like putting up weight together and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's also just good to kind of get everyone out there like bonding as a team compared to before. Like you can't really have the whole team together at once, which now it's everybody there and it feels like a real team and like a real family.
I mean, Coach Davies, wherever he goes, he has 100 players on the team, and then you got to space people out. That had to be crazy. How do you space out 100? Other programs don't have 30 kids on the team. You got 100. So I mean, it's like a city, right? Anthony,
Yeah.
Add to it right now. I think you've been to a couple camps too, right?
Yes.
So tell me from that end, was there any type of restrictions at these camps, or it was full go?
It was all full go. And this was my first year actually doing camps. So
good.
Last year I didn't really get to do any, but this year was totally different.
Good.
Everybody's ready to go and everything.
Good. All right, Nick Benjamino, tell me how great it was in the weight room to throw up the weight and see everybody else in the weight room for the first time in 2 years.
It was great that we had like the ability to start like late June, early July, but I think it was better that we were able to go in the weight room because past few years we weren't able to.
Yeah.
Like in the winter and the spring, I think it was just great that we got
Good.
We didn't get guys because a few guys had sports like winter and spring sports, but I still think it was like as many guys as we could get, we got there, and I was trying to get as many as we can get.
Great.
And that hour or two after school, just I think built us as a better team.
Yeah. Now I'm shutting the locker room doors. Coach Davies just left. What is the expectations in the locker room from the players, not the coaches, from you guys? Because you have your own opinions too. What are you guys thinking? What's your expectations this year? We'll start with you, Nick. You ended the last one. Start this one, Benjamino.
I think like even like without the coaches there, yeah, it's cool to fool around, but I think it's to a point. Like if it's before practice, we just got to get out there at a certain time, and if we're out there at a certain time and nothing goes on, like that's gonna ruin anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fooling around is cool, but we just got to get like work done.
Yep. Anthony, what's the expectations coming from your end?
Same thing with Nick said. Be ready to work, go out there, compete. Because we're coming for it all this year. We're trying to win this whole thing.
Right. Nick?
Kind of to build off what Ant and Ben said, like we do like want everyone getting there like on time and showing up. And with Ant and Benjamino actually like being like the leaders we need, like they're getting on people for kids to show up.
Good.
And like when coaches are there, like, yeah, it's like good to have like their eyes, but also it's kind of like you also need that group of just the kids who can like start getting on each other and kind of build that like brothership with just them.
Right. Mr. Quarterback over there, Mark Agello, add to it.
I'd say the same thing, picking each other up, motivating each other to like work better, like work harder,
right,
and get like on time. And when you're there, when you're at practice, just like no messing around and get to work. And after you have all the time to joke around.
Now, guys, I mean, I've been a head coach for a long time, and Coach Davies was longer than me. He'll say the same thing. Our best football teams were when the leaders were the best players on and off the field. It just, if you're quality guys on and off the field, you're going to be okay. All the other stuff falls into place because people want to copy your, how your behavior, and that's the underclassmen, and that's important. It really is. So I want to end it with this question right now. Why is it so special to play at Freehold Township under Coach Davies? Why is it so special? I want people out there to know about it. All right, Agello, start it off.
Coach starting off with Davies, he's a great guy, always looking to compete, always want like the best for his players. And as a team, we have lots of young players with a good senior class. Not a big one, but the ones we have are leaders and they're good. And we're just hungry for it all. After like last year and a couple of years back, we just want to go for it all.
Yeah, Carnivale.
kind of like building off what Mark said with Davies, like he's been like around, not like he's old, but he's been in football for like a long time. So he kind of knows like what, like the best for everybody. And also like with the, just like in the offensive standpoint, like as a receiver, I like passing the ball a lot, and that's what we do. So like, that's kind of like good for me. I really enjoy that. And it's kind of just like a mentality. Like Davies knows what's best for us, and he'll get us to where we need to be. He knows the potential we have.
Yeah, you're right. Anthony?
I agree. Both of them said we really got to come out and compete this year. But Coach Davies, all around, basically, he knows what he's doing. He wants the best for us. He wants us to win. He loves us to death, and he would do anything for us.
Awesome. All right, Nick, end it right here, Nick.
Yeah, I think just being under Davies is one of the best coaches that you could be under, just because of how he pushes us and how he knows what we're able to do, and just what he's been through, like, puts us in the best position. But then I also want to add, I think being a Freehold Township is the best, because it's the best rivalry against Borough, 50-plus years. And we're coming for it this year. I played with all of them growing up. Haven't beat them once, and this year we're beating them.
We're taking it home this year.
It'll be ours.
Wow.
I promise
Coming home.
You got some free airtime with that, man, huh? That's awesome. Yeah. Listen, here's my take with Coach Davies. First of all, he's a leader. He's a good friend for me. And football teams, the good football teams inherit, they take the personality of the head coach. He's a confident guy, knows what he's doing. He's been there, done it, and he cares about all you guys. He does. He cares about all you guys. Keep listening to him. Big expectations are coming from the coaching staff about you guys. You guys are young, but experienced. Remember that. Young is an excuse. I can't stand when people say that, but the word out around is you're young. But you have a lot of guys that played. You had a lot of people that played as freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. So I'm excited about that. You have a lot of people returning with good leadership up front. Maybe not a lot of seniors, but that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys play this year. All right. I want to thank you for coming on the show. This will be out tonight. This will be posted tonight. All right. Make sure that you guys echo it out, and let's see how many views you get and see if you're in the top 20 with your community. Do you have a good fan base? Who do you call those fans in the stands that are cheering for you? What are they called?
Bleacher creatures.
Yep. Get them involved and see how many views, because it's competitive. You want to break the top 20, but you want to be in the top 10 and let everybody know there's a lot of excitement going on at Freehold Township. Look at our views. We got 800, right? God, if everybody in the program just looked at it, that's 800 views right there. You got like 800 kids on the team, right? Crazy. All right, guys, thank you very much. Go do what you guys got to do and keep winning on the field. All right?
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.